Beef and pork is what's for dinner today. That's right, lean red meat can be part of an overall healthy diet as long as you limit the amount. Red meats contain iron, zinc, and B vitamins, nutrients that women and kids generally need to eat more often. Without enough of these nutrients, you can feel tired and run down. So let's take a look at some lean cuts of red meat and how we can cook them to get more bang for your buck, because these meats can be more pricey than other types of meat. Here I have a display of several of the leanest cuts of red meat. The pork cuts are pork tenderloin, loin chops, rib chops, butterfly chops, and pork sirloin roast. You may have picked up on the fact that the most common word among these lean cuts is loin, so look for loin cuts when you shop for pork. For beef cuts, I have beef eye of round, top sirloin, and tenderloin. Most lean beef cuts have the word round or loin in the name. On a package of beef, you can also look for words like choice or select, which are leaner choices than the very fat marbled prime. And if you don't recognize any of these names in the meat case, or if you want to spot a lean cut by sight, look for red meat with very little white fat along the edges. There should also be very little white fat marbled throughout the meat. Staying away from cuts of meat that have a lot of fat helps us follow the American Heart Association's healthy eating recommendations, which include limiting saturated and trans fat. They also recommend limiting processed meat like sandwich meat, sausage, and hot dogs, which can be very high in sodium. Now let's talk about portion sizes. A portion of meat is 3 ounces, about the size of the palm of your hand, or the size of a deck of cards, or the size of a beef patty that comes on a plain hamburger or plain cheeseburger at a fast food restaurant. It would fill up about 1/4 of a common dinner plate, and that leaves about 1/4 of the plate for whole grains and 1/2 the plate for fruits and vegetables. Eating this way helps keep calories in check, and it's also one of the most budget-friendly ways to plan meals. The first tip for cooking leaner cuts of meat involves trimming and cutting it. Take a look at this beef flank steak. There is some visible white fat on it. You want to carefully trim away like this. Then, to make the meat seem especially tender before cooking, you can slice it diagonally across the grain, like this. It's probably best to usually cut it about 1 inch thick. Cutting it before cooking cuts through the tough meat fibers. Plus, having large slices of meat in a dish like stir fry makes a portion of meat go further and gives rich, meaty flavors throughout the dish. It may even seem like more meat than one single piece of meat on a plate. So how do we cook these leaner cuts of meat to get maximum flavor and the most delicious results? Most cuts that are 1 inch or less thick can be broiled. Broiling uses direct heat at high temperatures, and this will quickly brown the outside of the meat, giving it a nice flavor, but keeping the inside just cooked through and tender. And if you have an extra 10 or 15 minutes, most cuts will benefit from a quick soak in a marinade of garlic, low-sodium soy sauce, lime or lemon juice, and a little oil. So add your meat to the marinade. And this packs the meat with flavor and helps keep it tender while cooking. Lastly, cooking lean beef or pork roast or beef top round in the slow cooker is also a good way to produce a meat that's tender and flavorful and also super convenient. All you do is add a cup or 2 of liquid, like low sodium beef broth. Then add the roast inside. And then add in whatever veggies you have on hand. Then set it and forget it. And dinner will be ready in several hours when the meat reaches the proper internal temperature. For slow cooker recipes, head to the American Heart Association's website, heart.org, or head to the library to check out a cookbook of slow cooker recipes.